Alright, hello everyone, welcome to the channel. The bench is clean, which means it's time for a new project. And this one is going to be, I hope it'll be interesting. But what we've got here is a Heathkit. This is a Heathkit AR15, which is a AM/FM stereo solid state receiver. And this unit is a family unit. My grandfather put it together with my dad, and he's been talking about it lately. I've had it at my house for a while, and I thought it might be good to see if I could get this unit cleaned up and working. I've had it for a few years, and the problem with this unit was one of the audio channels had gone out, and there was an attempt at some repairs, but never really got too far along with it. Kind of got sort of forgotten about, and just put in the closet. Anyway, but as you can see, the unit's pretty dirty, and that's because back in the spring of last year when my lab flooded out, this unit got flooded. So that's going to make this repair even that much more challenging, because we're going to have to, essentially, I'm going to have to disassemble this whole thing to get it cleaned up. And then once we get it cleaned up, then see if I can get the audio working, figure out what other kind of problems I might have. Of course, this is, like I said, this is an original unit. It's going to have all original parts, and all the capacitors and whatnot. Probably going to be, a lot of them at least will be suspect for replacement. But anyway, I'll flip this unit over. We'll take a look at the bottom side. All right, here is the bottom of the unit, and the bottom side looks to be in fairly good as far as clean. It looks fairly clean. There is, like I said, lots of evidence of some water there, and that'll have to be addressed. But the boards are fairly clean. Hopefully the moisture didn't damage any of these inductors too bad. I believe this is the multiplexer board, and there's a couple of, see, there's a capacitor there that's been replaced. All right, looking at the top part of the unit here, we see we get the tuner section here, our power amp back here, and of course the boards are on the bottom. We looked at those already, and these are the output. It has a capacitor and an inductor on the output, and we can look at that schematic in a little bit and see how that's done. It's not doesn't have it's not a transformer coupled output. This here is the power transformer, and then this capacitor here is the power supply filter capacitor. And AM antenna, I believe this board here is the preamp and maybe the equalizer section. And of course the front panel controls. We've got power switch, we've got switches for various portions of the radio. We've got tone and volume controls, and then under this little door here there's some additional controls for looks like phase and squelch and stereo. So those will be for the FM portion, and then there's little trimmers back in here that do, I believe those are the level controls for inputs. Got aux tape, phono, so left tape and right tape, and left phono and right phono, and then left aux and right aux, and then of course AM/FM. That's the stereo there, and then mono tape over here. So controls under that little door right there. All right, here's the schematic for this Heathkit AR15 receiver, and it's pretty large. This is printed out on 11 by 17 paper, and you can see it's still pretty small. You got to kind of look in here to see the details, but it's got all the it's got all of our major sections. There's our tuner section up here. This is FM to AM. We've got our this is the multiplexer board here for doing FM stereo. We've got our phono preamp. We've got our just our preamp tone control board here, and then our power left and right power amplifier boards, and then our power supply board over here. And here is the we talked about the coupling for the speakers. These are those large can electrolytic capacitors here, and here's the other one here, and they're coupled through these inductors. And then these are our output transistors for left and right channels. Those are the TO3 transistors mounted on the heat sinks back here. And of course, as mentioned, here's our output, the output inductors and the output capacitors here. Other than that, as you can see, it's it's all solid state. There's no vacuum tubes. But we're going to, like I said, I'm going to start some disassembly, start some cleanup on the unit, see what we find out. I've got this schematic I found online, and I actually was able to find a copy of the assembly manual online too. I had to do quite a bit of digging, but I was able to find that as well, and so I think that's going to be very helpful, because this unit is very complex it's in the way it's all put together. There's a lot of sub-assemblies. There's this whole receiver section is a sub-assembly, and there's a sub-assembly for the front panel, and then of course there's all the parts on the bottom of the unit as well. So it's going to be pretty complex to get apart, and but anyway, and so that's going to be very helpful. Also, it's the unit, it's pretty obviously very dirty because it got flooded when the basement flooded. But also, my grandfather was a smoker, as a lot of men were back in the the 60s, and this unit's got you can see there's a lot of that yellow. There's going to be a lot of the yellow cigar residue under the dirt and whatnot, and I've already had the bottom. He never had the wood cabinet that goes with the receiver, but on the bottom of the unit has got just there's a metal perforated sheet that went on the bottom of the unit, and just from cleaning that, I've already gone in and cleaned that. There's not really much to see there, but you can just see the yellow cigar residue on that. Has stained that yellow. So, and you can see the outlines of this this chassis here. Here it is right here. So after this has been cleaned just to get the mud and dust, you can see that it's stained this yellow. This is the part that goes. This is the part that goes up facing the internals. So, as you can see, the front panel has been removed. Doing the first part of this cleaning, and here's the front panel. I've been it's about a couple hours of cleaning so far. It's looking pretty good. Luckily, the dial face here has got most of the coloring still there. There's one little spot there you can see where the green paint has come off. But I'll tell you what, the biggest challenge so far has been getting all this tobacco tar off of the radio. Got it all off of the top here. It's nice and shiny chrome now. If you remember from earlier back, it was that kind of a dull yellow. And there's some of the tar in that bottle right there. But that stuff gets everywhere, all down in any horizontal surface is going to have that cigar tar on it. Cleaned out here, and especially around the controls, the on-off switch, had a nice little ring of that tar, and a couple of these control switches here also had that same kind of tar. Just a little bit of scratching on the surface here, not too bad. And also the dial face too, which pops out. There's some tabs where the dial face or the dial glass goes in to there, and then there's 3 tabs there, and that just pops out. So the dial face has been taken out, and it's also been cleaned. It had a film of that cigar residue on it also. So that cleaned up nicely also, but it's been put away in a safe place because I don't want anything to happen to that dial glass. Next, I'll be continuing to disassemble this receiver. We'll have to get all the boards out to clean. The switch assembly, as you can see, is the dials or the rockers here are pretty yellowed. So hopefully those will clean up good. These tuning meters will have to be disassembled and cleaned. And then, of course, the rest of the radio. And then once we get the cleaning done, we'll be going through changing out components as needed. So there's been quite a bit of work into this Heathkit receiver. As you can see, we've got it opened up here on the bench, and this is the hinge portion here for the tuner section. And just a update, as you can see, it's been cleaned out quite a bit. The chassis here's been cleaned, and the boards have been cleaned, as you can see here, and some recapping done on the phono board. Actually, all electrolytics in this unit have been replaced or will be replaced. You can see the tuner section here, phono board back here, and then this is the foil side of the multiplexer board. The electrolytic capacitors here for the outputs have been removed, and I put in a new terminal tie strip here, and I've gone ahead and added some standoffs for mounting a new, probably gonna mount some sort of board here to put the new output electrolytics and output inductors on, and then that'll be mounted here on these standoffs. The old filter can has been removed, and what I plan to do is mount a board here using the 3 existing holes that for the old can clamp that was here, and then we'll mount that board in those existing holes, and then put new electrolytics in for the filter can there. The front panel's been removed, and I've had this preamp board out, and let me tell you, this preamp board is not easy to remove. It requires one thing you have to do is you have to desolder all of the connections on this rotary switch here, and then also you have to desolder all the connections for the inputs here on the backboard, which solder onto this board. So all those have to be desoldered, and then the board will come out. But this board's been out, cleaned. All of the potentiometers here and the potentiometers here have been cleaned and lubricated. The selector switch here has been cleaned and lubricated, and the switches and all have also been taken apart and cleaned and lubricated. And I've got the unit flipped over now, so we can look at the bottom side, our power amp boards, multiplexer board, and the component side, and the power supply. And as you can see, these have also all been recapped, and did some just some rewiring here for the star ground, and to make room or make some connections for the new electrolytic filter can that's going to have to go here. Let's see, but like I said, all these boards have been taken out and cleaned out real good. Some of the boards, as you can see, this appears to be where some of the silk screening got damaged, and it really doesn't want to come off. And without really trying to really get in there with something abrasive to take it off, and then it would just remove all of the silk screening away. So main thing with the boards is cleaning to get any of the dirt and dust off of the boards. So that's been done, and trying to clean these as best I can without really damaging the silk screen. I know on cleaning the foil side of the multiplexer board, I was using just some IPA to try to get some of the flux residue off, and just using the IPA on that would take the silk screen off of the board. So trying to be real careful so that I want to sort of preserve the boards as best I can for the original how they were. But anyway, so you just try with your cleaning agent. I use IPA and use just distilled water and a little bit of I like a mild detergent mixed in there to kind of clean the dirt and grime off the boards. One other thing that has been done on the power supply is, I already mentioned replacing all the electrolytic capacitors. I also replaced all of the power rectifiers with new modern silicon diodes. I used 1N5408s here for the high current side, and then 1N4007s for the lower current rectifiers here and here. Also replaced the Zener diodes that were the originals with modern Zener diodes. I believe one of them's a 27 volt and one of them's a 15 volt. So common values you can still get today. The front panel cleaned up pretty nicely. It's got a nice nice chrome to it, and I haven't noticed on the chrome on the front panel any real bad pitting. I was able to get all of the grime and stuff off of this panel, and this front panel was particularly dirty, especially around the switches over here. You can imagine like the on-off switch would have been something that was operated pretty regularly. So there was a lot of grime and whatnot around this switch and around a couple of the other switches, and there was also a lot of gunk on the front plastic cover for the dial face around the tuning knob and over here on the where the mode switch is. So this is the plastic cover that goes onto the dial, and it's got some dust on it because it's been sitting out. But it came out real nice. Was able to get it cleaned off really good, and just get some of the dust off of it. But it's real nice. There's a little bit of some marks just from use around where the tuning dial would have been, and then also here just a little bit of marks around where the mode switch is. But and one thing too I noticed is that one of the tabs is broken off right there. One of the clip tabs that holds the panel in. But even with that one broken off, still should have no problem staying installed on the panel. But as we can see, the lettering on it's still pretty good. There's that one spot there where the green has come off of the dial, but all the rest of it looks pretty good. And of course, there's the filter for the signal and the tuning meters that go there. And here's the switch assembly here. as you can see, it came out pretty clean too. Unfortunately, these rockers, they are a little bit stained. They're kind of yellow. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but they are a little bit yellow, and you can see some places where they're whiter, I guess, than other places. So they've got some staining, but they're a lot better than they looked to start. And I'll have to put this back in, but here's the back side with terminals all cleaned up, ready to go back in. And I think there's a couple of jumpers that need to be installed on some of these too, but I'll take a look at the manual. We'll get those installed. And of course, all these switches have been cleaned out, and cleaning these out just with the contact cleaner down inside the rocker and then exercising the switch. There was a whole lot of kind of gunk that came out of these rockers, and I think that's just because, like I mentioned earlier, my grandfather was a smoker, and so a lot of that cigar smoke and settling in this radio built up over time. And this just one thing wanted to show you here. I'm still working on cleaning this. Is the part of the this is the back of the tuning dial display, and at the top here, and I've cleaned this side off here, but I've gotten as far as here. So here's where, before the cleaning and then after cleaning. So this is kind of what I'm dealing with here. This dirt with the cigar tar where it's settled, and it's on all the horizontal surfaces of this radio. This is what I've found, and it comes off. It's not too bad to get off, just with some isopropyl alcohol and like a cotton swab. You just gotta kind of get in there and rub it, kind of get a little bit of force, and it'll come off. But that's kind of what I'm dealing with in all this radio, all the horizontal surfaces. And then, like I said, in all the switches too, these switches and some of the other switches that are in the radio, they've all been cleaned with the contact cleaner, and then get in there with I've got some pointed some of these swabs with these really small points, and you can get in there and get the gunk out with those. So just working those back and forth and getting them cleaned out. So we've had a look at the progress so far. Everything seems to be going okay for the radio at this point. The next thing that's going to happen is we'll get the parts installed for the filter capacitor that goes here. We'll get the output capacitors and inductors installed here, and then work on getting the front panel put back together. We've got the indicating lights and for the meters to reinstall, and of course the switch assembly, and all that'll have to go back in here. And then I'm gonna see if I'll have to restring the dial, but the problem with once you get the dial restrung, you can't open this compartment up anymore. So if I have to open this up, I'll have to unstring the dial. So I'm going to see if I can get the radio put back together and assembled in some sort of working fashion without restringing the dial, and then I can just tune the radio here with the wheel to do some testing. And if everything seems to be working, then we'll restring the dial, and then at that point, hopefully it'll be done. Unfortunately, just going through this radio, I have found several cold solder joints on the board, and that may be just due to age. But that's the thing with these Heathkits. I think I read somewhere that just about some 85 or 90% of all the Heathkits out there have some sort of a flaw or something done incorrectly. The ones that were assembled by the consumer. And this one is this one was purchased as a kit and assembled by, like as I mentioned, by my father and my grandfather. So there's just those things you have to deal with. When we get it back together and we're able to power it up, we can see if there's any problems. I know that initially, like I mentioned, the left channel wasn't working, and the two cold solder joints that I remember seeing off the top of my head were both in the left channel circuit. There was a transistor in the left channel power amp, and there was a transistor in the left channel preamp that both had cold solder joints on one of the transistor leads. So, that is promising that that was the cause of the initial problem. And so we'll see where we go from there. And hopefully we don't find anything else. I've also found, a couple of suspect joints, and I've gone ahead and reflowed them. But we'll see where we go from there. If we have a problem with the radio once we get it put together, then we'll I've got the get the assembly manual, and we'll have to go through it and see if we can track it down.